Hello and Nyob Zoo to each and every one of you. In today's video, I wanted to show you how to make seafood boil with a garlicky and lemongrass butter. This is how I like to serve seafood boil in my family. So I wanted to share the recipe for all of you so that you can make it yourself as well. I love making this during the holidays because it is a crowd pleaser, super tasty, and finger licking good. It's quite easy to make as long as you have and find all the ingredients to do so. It is a little expensive, but it is so worth it to make. So let's get to it and I'll show you how to make it. Let's go. The first thing I want to do is to make the lemongrass garlic butter. So I have scaled and measured out everything because this is going to cook pretty fast. So in a really good pot, I'm going to add in a pound of unsalted butter. I'm also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of minced shallots, a 1/4 cup of minced garlic, and a 1/2 cup of finely minced lemongrass. You want it pretty fine because it'll be a lot easier to eat. Turn the heat to medium and allow the butter to melt and cook the aromatics. I like to cook this roughly around 5 minutes or so to allow the aromatics to cook through and soften. Okay, so this looks pretty good. At this point, I'm going to add in all of my spices. So I have here about a tablespoon of Korean style coarse pepper flakes, a 1.5 tablespoons of Old Bay seasoning, a tablespoon of paprika, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, a 1.5 teaspoons of lemon pepper seasoning. I also like to add a 1.5 teaspoons of chicken bouillon powder. And I have here 2 tablespoons of sriracha. The one I am using today is actually the Thai shark brand here. This one's a little bit more on the sweeter side, so I like to use this into this garlic butter. But you could definitely use any hot sauce of your choice. It's really up to you. And just give this a stir and let this cook for about 30 seconds on medium-low heat. You don't want the spices to burn, and then turn off the heat. Once the heat is turned off, we are going to add in about 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Give this a good stir and then the butter sauce is done. It should look something like this. So you can set this sauce aside until you're ready to use and just rewarm it back up to let the butter melt and then put it on your seafood. Now, if you have any leftover butter, you can definitely store it in a really good deli container or in some Ziploc bags and stick it in the freezer. It can stay in the freezer up to 3 months, and whenever you make seafood boil, just take out the butter, rewarm it again, and enjoy it. Now the sauce is done. At this point, I am going to be cooking my seafood and other ingredients that I like to use for my seafood boil. So for this, I do like to use baby potatoes. You can use any type of potatoes you like, but I do like to use these. I also have some corn that I cut into bite-sized pieces like this. And then I have some andouille sausage that I'll also slice into chunks like this. For seafood, I have some shell-on, head-off, and deveined shrimp. You could definitely use head-on shrimp as well. It's really up to you. I'm also going to be using some already cooked Dungeness crab and some snow crab. You could definitely use fresh if you have access to it, but that's pretty much it for the seafood that I'll be adding. My family usually only likes shrimp and crab, but you definitely have the option to add clams, mussels, and crawfish if you like. To cook all of these ingredients, I do like to cook it in a well-seasoned broth. So I have some aromatics here that I'm going to be adding into the water. I have some water that I measure out here, about a gallon of water. I'm going to be adding 4 lemongrass stalks that I smashed just to release the natural oils here and get it into the water. I have 2 lemons that I cut in half, 1 bulb of garlic that I cut in half, 1 yellow onion that I also cut in half, some sea salt, 3 bay leaves, about 2 tablespoons of Old Bay seasoning, and then I also have roughly around 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. I'm going to cover this with the lid and allow this to come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, go ahead and turn it on medium and just let it simmer for about 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, this is what it should look like. I'm actually going to remove all the aromatics that I added in here, just so that they're not in my way when I'm cooking the other ingredients. But you do have the option to just leave it in there if you want to. You don't have to remove this. The first thing I want to cook is the potatoes and corn. And I'm just going to cook this roughly around 15 minutes or so, or depending on how you like your potatoes. The potatoes and corn are cooked to my liking. I'm going to remove this with my spider and place it on a sheet tray or a platter. And then into the same broth, I'm going to add in the shrimp and just cook this for about 5 minutes or so. I'm going to remove the shrimp and place it right on top of the potatoes and corn. For the andouille sausage, I do like to saute it. You can also boil it too, but I like to saute in a really good nonstick pan with roughly around a 1/4 cup of water to just allow it to steam and cook properly all the way through. Cover it with a lid and cook this on medium heat to let the steam cook the sausage all the way through, and then finish off searing it for about 3 to 4 minutes. But you could definitely cook the sausage however you like. I just like to saute this and give it a really good color and sear on the outside. So if this is good, I'm going to remove this and place it right on top of the other ingredients. And then into the same broth, I'm going to add in my already cooked crabs just to warm it back up. I'm going to let this boil for about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we'll remove it and place it right on top of everything else. And this is pretty much it. So at this point, you could definitely add the lemongrass garlic butter and mix it into it. But my family and I, we like to peel the seafood and actually dip it into the lemongrass garlic butter because it's less messy and you actually get to enjoy the butter a little bit more. But if you do want to mix it, just add the seafood into a really good bowl and then add as much of the butter as you want in there. I do like to cover it with a lid and just do a really gentle shake until the seafood and the vegetables are covered in the butter. And this is what it should look like. Now this version is also really good. It is a little bit messier and you do often have to lick your fingers. So you could definitely make it this way as well. It's really up to you. But my family really enjoys dipping the seafood and the vegetables into the butter instead because you get to enjoy more of the butter. Other than that, this is it. Enjoy it while everything is hot and fresh. It's lemongrassy, it's garlicky, it is buttery, full of spice, and so good. So I hope you can give this recipe a try. Until then, happy holidays, and I will see you in my next video.